Okay, let's go over the warm-up quick, then we'll go over our practice quiz. All right, so when we graph the parent function, which one is this? Linear, very good. So got my x-axis, my y-axis, right? And remember, it's y equals x. So that means the x and the y's are the same. 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and so on, -1, -1. So there's our parent function, right? For linears. Okay, got a slope of 1, it goes to the origin. All right, all we're doing here is doing what? Is that a translation, a stretch, a compression? Translation. We're just moving it where? Down 7, right? Just going down 7. So down here somewhere, 7. Right there is -7. Okay? Just a quick sketch up. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and if you're not sure, you can always make an XY table, right? You check on your calculator too. All right? So this one, what family are we in? Right. Again, we can say y equals if we wanted. What's it look like? A V, right? So, coming out of the origin, right? Those slopes are both 1s, -1 and +1. Okay? So what does this do to it? Just up 1, right? So that was a pretty easy one too. Another translation. So that's a 1 there, right? Now what about this one over here? What family are we in? Quadratic, right? Because of the squared. So that's y equals x squared. What's that look like? What do we call quadratics? Parabolas, right? So that's what that looks like. So if you're not sure, okay, we could do our XY table. Oh, we should talk about domain and range too, right? We'll do that in a sec. All right. So what's 1/2 of -2? -1. What's -1 squared? +1, right? What's 1/2 of -1? -1/2. What's a -1/2 times a -1/2? +1/4, right? 1 times 1 and 2 times 2, right? 1/2 of 0, 0. 0 squared is 0. 1/2 of 1 is a half, squared is a 4. 1/2 of 2 is 1, squared is 1. Okay? So, -2, 1, so that's 1. -1, 1/4. All right, 0, 0. 1, 1/4. And then 2, 1, right? So it looks like this, doesn't it? That's kind of bad. Sorry. So it looks like it just squashed it, right? But that looks like it squashed it vertically, right? Not horizontally. But thinking about what we've talked about, we took 1/2 of the x. Remember when we changed the x, that's a horizontal compression. So I guess it pulled it in a little bit too, but it looks more like a vertical to me. But according to what our rules have been, I'm thinking that's a horizontal compression by a factor of a half, or shrink if you say shrink. All right. Practice quiz. Okay, so for number one, we have a parabola. So what parent function is that? Quadratic, right? What's our domain? Oh, I didn't talk about this, but what's our domain always? All real numbers, no matter which family that we've talked about so far. Okay, now range is our y values, remember? Looking at the picture, what's our smallest y value? 4, yeah. So our range is going to be y is greater than or equal to, since it's going up, it's greater than or equal to, and then that lowest y value was 4. Okay? Right, Wolf? You're paying attention, you got all that right? That's a y there. All right, number 2. We're graphing the parent function. Here's our function they gave us, our g function. It's an absolute value of x minus 1. So we are in the absolute value family. So that parent function is the v. Which is like this. Okay? So now we did minus 1 inside the absolute value sign. So are we moving it up and down or right and left? Right and left, horizontally, right? And it's opposite of what you think, so we're moving which way? Yeah, we're moving right 1 unit. It's a translation. So we come over here 1, and then we have our v. Okay? So the blue is our parent, and the red is our g function that we just moved right 1. Again, you can check on your calculator and see that that happens, right? Taylor, you okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Questions? This helping? Okay, number 3, we have an x squared for our g function. So we're in the quadratic family. So it's a parabola with our vertex at 0, 0, and the points 1, 1, and 2, 4, right? So here's our parent function. Okay. And we have a minus 4 outside, not inside. So is that up and down or right and left? Up and down, right? And since it's negative 4, which way are we going? We're going down. 4, right? So it looks the same. But this point here is 0, negative 4. That y-intercept, that vertex. The y-intercept and the vertex were the same this time because it was right on the y-axis. All right. Those are pretty easy, right? Those two. So the first 3 we should do well on tomorrow, shouldn't we? All right. So the 4 basic ones we got are constant, linear, absolute value, and quadratic, right? So that's what you're going to see on those first 3 problems. One of those probably, we had all three, we had three of them there, right? Oh, we had two quadratics, I guess. So I'm not sure what you're gonna see tomorrow, but similar to those. All right, number 4. It says, write a function g whose graph represents the indicated transformation of the graph of f. Okay? So f is this absolute value of x minus 2. All right, and we're supposed to translate it left, or left 3. Okay, so when we're going left or right, we're doing it horizontally to the x, changing the x. So we got to put it inside with the x. If we're going left, which way do we go inside the parentheses? Add or subtract? Add. The opposite of what you think. So in place of that x, we put x plus 3. Questions? Kevin? No. Good. All right, number 5. We have a linear family we're with. Okay, so there's our f function. And we're supposed to reflect the y. Okay, that's when we change the x, right? It's the opposite. So all I'm doing, oh, this is g, right? Is taking the opposite of that x. That's all you got to do. Okay. So far, so good? Remember, if we were reflecting over the x-axis, we would take the opposite of the whole thing. So we put that x minus 4 in parentheses, and then put the negative out front, right? And then it'd be negative x plus 4, because we distribute the negative through there. All right, number 6 is another linear one. Just have x to the first power. Okay, we're supposed to horizontal stretch by 3. So remember, those are the hard ones. Capital H for horizontal and hard, and it's always 1 up there, and then whatever the factor is down here. So it becomes the reciprocal when we do that. All right? So the only thing we're changing then, again, is the x. That's the change in the x horizontally this way, x-axis. So I got my 2, and in place of the x, where that x was, I put 1/3 x. And then the minus 4. Okay, so what's 2 times a third? 2/3. So that's where that came from. Why won't that go up? There we go. Okay, when you simplify. Front page, not too bad, is it? You guys seem to be doing okay. right? It tells you how much each one is. So 1, 2, and 3 were worth 3 points. 4, 5, and 6 were worth 2 points. Okay, 7, 8, 9 are 3, and then 10, 11 from a quiz we had earlier. We haven't done it for a while, but still should know how to do this. 4 points each. All right, so number 7. We got the parent function, oops, not parentheses, but absolute value. Okay? It says write a function whose graph, function g, whose graph represents a reflection in the x. All right, so that's the first thing. All right, reflection in the x means a change in the y. F of x, right? So that's the whole thing. Because remember, f of x equals is just like y equals. All right? So that was a reflection. Over the x-axis. And then it said a horizontal stretch by 2. I forgot my T, right? Stretch by 2. So remember, when it's horizontal, what do we end up multiplying by? The reciprocal, right? And we're replacing the x. All right? So g of x, we have that negative, and then absolute value. Then we can change that to 1/2 x. Okay? And then down 4 was the last part. So 3 transformations. All right, we have a reflection, a stretch, and now a translation. So that's just outside, that's to the y, the whole thing. We're subtracting 4 from it, since it was down 4. Okay? So just do one at a time and simplify when you can. Remember, you can't distribute a negative into an absolute value. Questions? All right, number 8. This is the one that's a little trickier, maybe. Here we got a linear family. There's our parent function. Write a function g whose graph represents a reflection in the y-axis. Okay? Okay, so that's changing the x. So it would be g of x. Changing the x just means the opposite of x. There's our reflection over the y. Right 2. Horizontal, right? Right and left is horizontal. So we've got g of x. And then our negative sign because of the reflection, and then substituting a movement of 2 to the right. So we're going to go x minus 2, opposite of what you think when it's inside like that. Simplify that. You can distribute the negative. Right? Because it's not absolute value, it's just a normal parenthesis. So it's like -1 times both of those. So I simplify it. And then part 3, a vertical compression. So when it's vertical, It's the whole thing. And we don't do the reciprocal, whatever they tell us. So vertical compression of 1/3. Oops, I wanted to change the colors there. So our final answer of doing those three things would be 1/3 times that negative x plus 2, and then clean it up, distribute. So negative 1/3 x plus 2/3. We'll be doing all three things from the beginning. Reflecting about the y, moving it right to, and doing a vertical compression, so making it a little shorter and wider. So one at a time, and simplify each time. Okay? Get it? Got it?
Got it.
Good?
Good.
Are we awake?
Not really.
No.
That's what I'm feeling here. Come on, let's wake it up. Focus. I'm trying to go slow for you. All right, number 9. This is that revenue problem and profit. So your revenue in dollars for selling bumper stickers is given by this function. So revenue is this function, f of x. You should use r instead of f, right? All right. So that's how much money you get for them. And your profit is, remember, profit we use for p of x, p for profit, means equals $10 less than 65% of the revenue. Okay? So 0.65 for the 65%, right? Move the decimal point to left of the revenue. What's our revenue? 2x, right? That's our revenue. And $10 less than that would be minus 10. You okay there? If it said more than, $10 more than, we do addition, right? Right, Yoder? Okay? So clean that up. What's 0.65 times 2x? Is that 13? Oh, no, 1.3, sorry. I went too many decimal places over. So there's our function for the profit, a little equation. So we're supposed to find the profit for how many sales? 40, right? So the profit for 40 bumper stickers would be 1.3 times 40 minus 10. And that comes out to how much? $42. Okay? So you'll have a problem like that. Again, your quiz tomorrow will look just like this. All right, we got to pick it up, make sure we get through these two. All right, these are from a while back. Let's go to the next page. All right, so by substitution, when you're solving a system of equations, you have to get one of the variables by themselves. Nolan, which variable do you want to get by itself? Okay, yeah, one of the x's. Don't get the y by itself, because then you're going to have to divide by 2 or negative 2, and then you get a fraction, maybe. All right, so get one of the x's alone. I got this first one alone. So I just subtracted 2y from both sides. So x equals negative 2y plus 2. If you wrote 2 minus 2y, that's okay. Take that and put it in the other equation for x. Connor? Yeah, you know how to do these, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to put negative 2y plus 2 in place of that x, and then minus 2y equals 6. So nothing else changed, just the x changed to that negative 2y plus 2. So when I combine like terms, the negative 2y and negative 2y is a negative 4y plus 2. Subtract 2 to get y by itself, and you get negative 4y equals 4. Divide by negative 4, and y equals what? Negative 1, right? Am I finished? No. Remember, you need an x value and a y value. So Caitlin, what did you get for x? Jude, that's correct. So I just put it in this one. X equals negative 2. Now we know y is negative 1 plus 2. And negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2. Plus 2 is 4, like Caitlin said. So our ordered pair would be 4, negative 1 for number 10, using substitution. So do the correct method. I want you to be able to do both methods. Questions? Coming back to us? Hopefully you remember. All right? Number 11. This was elimination. I like to keep them lined up when I do elimination because I'm going to add or subtract the two equations. Now, when I do elimination, you have to find or look for the same coefficient in front of the x's or the y's. Look at the y's. What's their coefficient? 1, right? So I don't have to do anything to this. I don't have to multiply one of them or both of them because they're already got a 1 in front. So then, since these are the same number in front, I just look at the signs. What did I tell you when the signs are different? Add or subtract? Add, right? When the signs are the same, we subtract, right? S and S. So when the signs are different, like this one, I'm going to add. So when I go 2x plus a negative 1x, I get 1x. That's perfect. When I go negative y plus y, they cancel. 27 plus 19 is 46, right? And I got my x value. Am I finished? No, I got to figure out the y. So I'm going to go and put it in the second one. It doesn't matter though. So negative, and I'm going to put 46 in for x, plus y equals 19. So how do I move the 46 over? You add it, right? And 46 plus 19, oops, is what? 65, right? So our answer to the second one by elimination are some big numbers, but you guys can handle it. So you're going to have one of each of those tomorrow as well. Those are worth 4 points apiece. So it's 32 total. All right? Any questions? It's simple, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Practice. That's all you got to do is practice. Good job.